Boop. Oh, right on the money.
Right on the goddamn. You should. Can't think of something where you need to hit it around the money like that. So I fucked that up completely.
What was that show? Was it Whammy or something? What the fuck was it called?
I don't know.
You know,
I was thinking of that thing like at Skateland that spun out and you had to hit the jackpot. Yeah.
Not good at those. That Pac-Man game I've been playing, at the end of every level, they do like a slot machine sort of thing, and you gotta hit it right on the. I suck at it. I'm so bad at it.
I remember there used to be like the stackers, and you had to like time the blocks to like get it. I won a prize once.
Maybe I should say boop when I do it. Maybe that'll.
Yeah, that's
boop, 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 and then I'll. Ooh, all cherries.
Next episode, you're gonna be like,
big winner.
Hey, it worked. And this is episode 19 for everyone listening.
Heck yeah.
I'm Phil.
I'm Chase.
And we watch everything.
I don't know why I said it like a question.
And we talk about it for you lovely listeners to hear. So
it's true. Phil, I hope you're listening. I hope you're getting through your work day.
I get something to look forward to every week. I'm like, I get to hear myself talk.
Right. We'll just do what Shep and I did on our podcast, which is just try our best to strong arm sponsors. It's brought to you by Manolo's Pizza. It gets sued.
It gets brought to Manolo's Pizza. That's what's happening there. I'm about to hook it up to the kitchen speaker and just play it for everyone who walks in and buys pizza.
What are you listening to?
Oh, that's me.
Oh, that guy? Oh, well. Just a little podcast I like to listen to while I do my job. That guy sounds just like you. You listen to your own music?
I saw that was like my biggest fear. Like the first couple weeks, I started listening to my podcast. I'm like, people are gonna think I'm real conceited. Just like, man, he really likes to hear his own voice, doesn't he? He just listens to himself talk.
It's called a quality check.
Someone has to do it.
If we don't listen, who will? Yeah, another week of movies. Mine was a weak week.
Yeah, digging around.
I did.
Bringing that joke back around.
Yeah, I dicked around.
On you.
I was the one dicking around this week. I went into this week thinking I was like, oh man, I'm gonna watch so many movies, and I did not watch so many movies. I only watched a literal handful.
Speaking of, I need to add the newest one to my list.
I already did right before the show because I am prepared.
You even asked if I was ready.
I love being lied to right before a show.
My voice was my list was not.
Do you want to start since I have slim pickings this week?
Yeah, so I guess first on the list was a movie that I can't really talk about, and it was We Live in Time.
Yes.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I definitely liked it. I just really dug the whole story as a whole. I enjoyed, because sometimes I don't always like when movies jump around from like parts to part, but for whatever reason, like it felt super appropriate. Back in this
I can't say, having watched as much of it as I did, that I agree with you. That was something that I did. I don't necessarily mind when movies jump around, but that was something I found very charming about this movie.
Yeah.
Was like, I feel like it really drove the point home of them living in time.
Yeah, there's just these little pockets of moments that this couple's going through, and the highs and the lows and everything in between, and it was really nice. I enjoyed it. It was
very charming. I loved the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
You got to see a little titty action.
I was
a
little shocked by that.
I had to pick my jaw up off the floor.
I remember also being shocked by that. I was like, oh my goodness.
Did I really just see this
Florence?
happen?
Oh my goodness. It's like, what was I watching recently that somebody was hanging dong in? I was I think it's Sebastian Stan and A Different Man. I was like, God damn.
If you got it, flaunt it.
You know? what was it, a few weeks ago? We were talking about Willem Dafoe. I thought he was gonna rock out with his cock out.
Yeah, he was about to bust out that Speedo.
He sure was. Yeah, we'll talk more about that next week when I finish watching it.
But because I mean, just be able to deep dive into it a little bit more would be nice.
Yeah.
So we'll just move on to my next one. I figured since you did 5 and I have around 10, we can do like a little two for one.
Okay.
And keep that kind of going.
Okay.
And so the next one I watched another Andrew Garfield movie, one that you requested.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
And what did you think?
I enjoyed the acting. I thought the story was a little boring, to be honest. I felt like it kind of drug on a little bit too long there towards the end. I was just like, Jesus, this is a long movie. Like, because around the time, like, Andrew Garfield gets arrested for all his fraud shit and stuff like that, and then like that kind of like that back half, I felt like they could have wrapped it up just a little bit tighter. But I mean, I thought they both did a great job, like with like the acting and stuff like that. I mean, the story was interesting, but I don't know, it was just kind of just lost me there a little bit.
I feel you. It's been a minute since I've seen it myself, but yeah, that was my movie that year at the Oscars. My I don't know what you'd say. It was the one I was rooting for that year.
It was your it's like your horse.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what the exact phrase is.
Yeah. I've never been to a horse.
Yeah, race. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I want to change that though soon. Let's
go right now. Let's stop the podcast
right now. Let's see horses.
We're gonna find a stable and just let the horses go.
No, but I'd really love to go to what is it? The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I feel like we're not even all that far away from.
No, it's like a springtime event.
No, I mean like in physical proximity.
Oh yeah, no, Kentucky's close enough to where we should go.
In conceptual time.
I'd love to throw down like $100 on a horse. Just to be like, hey, I did it. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Then get addicted and then you'll just see me at the stables.
Somebody stop that horse. I put $100 on him. Yeah. Anyways, yes, that was the horse I was betting on that year because I told Belle, I was like, sometimes like at the Oscars, there's a movie like, Everything Everywhere. When that came out, that was like, I mean, it swept that year. It killed that year. It won fucking like everything as it should have. That was the one I was rooting for. But sometimes, similar to this year, sometimes I'm just rooting in the one category. It's like this year, it's Demi Moore for The Substance. I really fucking want Demi Moore to win for that movie. And that year, after I saw Eyes of Tammy Faye, it felt like a dark horse too. It felt like it was kind of underrated compared to the other movies that got nominated. Like I think it was like the only thing it got nominated for, but I was just like, damn, Jessica Chastain was so fucking good in this movie. Like I really hope she wins, and she did. And I was so fucking happy that she beat out everybody else. I was just like, good. I'm glad they didn't sleep on this.
I felt so conflicted like with Andrew Garfield because I love him as an actor,
right?
But God, if he didn't play a douche.
Yeah.
And he did a douche well. Yes. Like, he really, like, as soon as I saw him, like, he's a little fucking weasel.
Uh-huh.
I see him.
Oh, he was, too. He's a fucking weasel.
Yeah, I'm like, man, Andrew, what are you doing?
A great job acting, as he often does.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I definitely enjoyed the performances and stuff between both Jessica and Andrew. Yeah, overall, solid movie.
Yeah, I feel, and like I say, I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't really speak to the pacing of the story and stuff. But I did enjoy the story as far as like learning about this situation with
like the 700 Club.
Yeah,
is like what it was all based off of and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the CBC or whatever the Christian broadcast channel. Yeah, right. So
it was interesting. Always nice to learn,
Oh yeah,
we're fans of learning here at Film Chase Watch Everything,
and I do enjoy my my religious movies,
especially when Andrew Garfield's in them. I've learned you want to talk about a nice little triple feature. Eyes of Tammy Faye could be your palate cleanser between Hacksaw Ridge and Silence. Add a little levity to the mix. two movies that I wanted to get to this week, and I just didn't have the time for. That was another problem I had this week. Was like I had all these movies I wanted to watch, and everything's fucking 2 to 3 hours long, and I'm just like, whew, I have decisions to make. But my first one this week was I also had Andrew Garfield in it.
Nice.
I rewatched Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay,
Yeah. Did
a great job in that movie.
He did a phenomenal job in that movie.
He even fooled people.
He did.
Telling everyone that he wasn't in the movie.
Right? He did a good job acting just in life. Just like, oh, I'm not in that movie. But yeah, watched it with my little guy the other day, and because he's a big Spider-Man lover, and it makes this old Spider-Man fan's heart swell. But I was like, you want Spider-Man, buddy? Oh, I'll give you Spider-Man. So not one, not two, but 3 Spider-Man. And it's still the best of the Tom Holland movies, in my opinion. I just, and I do feel like a big part of that is because of Toby and Andrew in it. I mean, there's a lot of other things working for this movie. But never fails. I mean, every time I watch it, from the point, spoilers if you haven't seen it at this point, pretty much every time I watch this movie, from the moment Aunt May dies through like the next hour of the movie, I'm just like in tears for one reason or another, whether it be sadness or happiness. I'm just like, I feel so much.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because they just hit you with like the Aunt May thing. And then they hit you with, oh, here's Andrew. Here's Toby. Oh, they're all meeting and like all the shit that happens at the end. And I'm just like, oh. And then the one moment, like, definitely, I've seen it enough times at this point. I wasn't as weepy this time around. But also, I was watching it with a 1-year-old, so I wasn't like as plugged in as I usually am. But the one moment of that movie that always fucking gets me, no matter how hard I try not to cry, is when fucking Zendaya falls and Andrew Garfield catches her. Every fucking time. Are you okay? Are you okay? And every time I'm sitting there on the couch going, I'm not okay.
Speaking of William Dafoe, did a great job coming back as the Green Goblin.
They all did. All of them. Yeah. I was glad to see all of them come back. Really.
I thought Toby was gonna bite it. They had me worried there.
I do hope to I hope to see more of them. I really do. I know they say that they'll be back. I'm like, well, they fucking better be. If you're gonna do
Secret Wars, man,
Secret Wars better be just like the most just nerdgasmic thing. They need to bring the No Way Home vibes. They need to bring the Deadpool and Wolverine vibe. They just everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's gonna be. It's like people are like, oh, you want cameos?
Oh,
we're gonna give you all the cameos you can. We're gonna bring all of Hollywood into this fucking movie.
Pretty much. I hope they do, and then I hope they just hit the TNT plunger, and because I feel like that's what this is going to. Because I mean, that's what Secret Wars was in the comics, where they just like cleaned their slate and started again with the pieces left over. And I know you still haven't watched that new Spider-Man show, dude, but god damn it, it's so good, dude. Like, it's so good. Every week, it's only gotten better and better.
Well, now it's almost over.
Now
it's about that time for me.
And, like, what's interesting is it's like, it's almost kind of, like, mirroring the Homecoming like story arc, but it's doing a better job at it. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like, I mean, as much as I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I don't necessarily care for his Spider-Man movies as much, because it's just like, yeah, they're good, but like, it's just like he's too worldwide. You know what I mean? Like, he's not my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's always off doing bigger shit. And that's fine. That's fine for him. That's all cool. But like, I miss the New York of it all. I miss the like boots on the ground, like helping the little people. And like, I feel like this show has just been rocking it, dude. Like,
and everything you want out of Spider-Man.
I mean, it really is. It really is. They hit. I got things to say. I'll wait for you to watch it. Hopefully next episode we can get into it, because I just hope you enjoy it as well. As a Spider-Man fan, I just hope it really trips your trigger like it's tripping mine.
Maybe tonight's the night. Maybe I'll plunge into it.
Because Wednesday,
I'll swing into it. So,
but yeah,
that was your one.
There's my one.
And then, so back to Philly. Another movie I watched was Hardcore Henry.
And how was it?
It was okay.
Hardcore?
If you wanted to watch someone do parkour and shoot people for an hour and a half, it's your movie to watch.
I'd say that's probably about my limit on watching something like
that. And that's about all I needed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the story was... I mean, the concept was cool. The story was just okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's like certain aspects that I didn't care for. Never was explained. Didn't make sense. Like, the main villain has like superpowers. He can like move things, like with his mind or his hands, I guess is how it was portrayed.
Well,
like
I can move things with my hands.
Yes, but like the Force kind of moving things with his hands.
I know.
Well, no, you made me have to explain. So, so I never explained it. I'm just like, the fuck is all this?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, other than that, it was decent. It was decent for what it was. It was funny because I got it from the library, so it'll say like what the category is, and then I'll say like the first word of like the movie. So it was like action/hardcore. I was like, oh goddamn. But other than that, don't really have too much to I guess the dude that was the main dude was the dude from District 9.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Did not know that until after I watched it, because my roommate was like, oh yeah, I really like that actor from, he's like District 51, 49. I was like, District 9? He's like, oh yeah. I was like, great movie, by the way.
Great movie. Low-key, it's making me want to watch it this week.
I really do enjoy it. I fucked with it the day I saw it. I still do. I've seen it like 2 or 3
Best
times.
movie that fucking guy ever made.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because then he'd do like Chappie and
stuff. He did Chappie after that, which was probably my second favorite. Oh, you never watched Chappie?
No.
That one was all right. Elysium, did not care for. Yeah.
I didn't like Elysium so much, I didn't finish watching it. I got about halfway through, and then I just kind of fast forward.
I slogged my way through it.
I was watching it with someone else, and it was like on a laptop. We're like, yeah, fuck this. We just turned it off.
You just threw the laptop out of the bed and went, whoops. Whoops, done with that shit.
And I don't feel like I would have missed out on anything.
Yeah, Chappie was decent, though. Chappie was definitely a step up. I mean, anything was going to be a step up from Elysium, I feel like.
The fact that he was able to do another movie after Elysium is a blessing, so... So that was Hardcore Henry, and the next thing I watched was Sisu. That's how you say it.
Yep.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little. I don't know if I think I texted it to you. I said it was a little over the top.
I don't think you did.
But it was.
But yes, I agree. Wasn't mad at it though for that.
Wasn't mad at it. If there was gonna be a Philly thinks it's silly moment, 2 moments. The first one was when he's on the horse going through the minefield, and the horse explodes, and so and that was fine. I can understand him living to an extent, but when you show the dead horse, and you show its ribs all blown out and shit. His legs are hanging down by the ribs, so you would imagine that his legs probably would have also been blown off in that instance. So I was like, we'll forgive it. There's 3 Philly things in silly moments.
Is it just every action sequence?
No,
not
every single one. I forgave him cutting their throats up and taking their oxygen.
I loved it. I loved that fucking
I thought
scene.
that was funny. But a little later after that, he just has the dead body on the boat, and they have the machine gun, and it's just shooting the body. I'm like, I think that bullet would go through that dead body.
Yeah.
And then the third one, probably my biggest silly Philly moment, Because I fucked that up.
Silly things is funny. It happens.
It's just me in the movie. Like, how did I get in here?
What the? How silly.
Is when he's on the runway and he pickaxe the plane, and then he's like hanging on to the plane by the pickaxe. I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no way. I don't care if Tom Cruise hung off a plane or not. I'm not buying it.
I just love that, obviously they were definitely going for like a John Wick kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just love that, like, okay, yes, John Wick is Baba Yaga. His reputation precedes him. And in the same way, like, this guy had that.
The legend of whoever the fuck his name was.
But I love that he was like, because somebody, I feel like they bring it up in the movie where it's like he's not invincible. He just has an insane will to live.
Yeah.
And it like makes him just this terrifying, like, I could see where if you're the person on the other end of this, you're just like, Jesus Christ. Like he just keeps going. You look out the plane, it's just like, just like he just keeps coming no matter what. Like that's fucking terrifying. But I remember when I first watched it, I was just, some of those ridiculous over-the-top action scenes were just filling me with glee. I was just like, these are so silly, and I love it.
Yeah.
He like, he like threw the mine at the one person or whatever he did.
Yeah.
Hilarious. But yes, when he goes under the water and they just keep waiting for him to come out and they keep sending the people, especially when the guy's in the boat and the water's just turning red and he's like, no.
He puts his helmet on. I'm like, why do you do that?
It's just like, oh. But yeah, as soon as he slit the dude's throat and like sucked the oxygen out to keep being underwater, I was like, this fucking guy.
It was wild. And then when they hung him and he had that open wound on his side, he just kind of stuck onto the nail just to alleviate the pressure. I'm like, what a madman.
This man loves life. Jeez Louise.
He really wants to cash in that gold. Like, because, I mean, he had nothing to live for. His family was dead.
Talk about Rage Against the Dark. Shit. Do not go gentle into that good night. No. He said, fuck no.
No. And so, I mean, it was, I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. Like, I was along for the ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some moments where I was like, the fuck is going on?
It's by no means an action movie to be taken seriously.
He hooked that dude to the bomb and dropped him out of the plane. I was like, good. Dude deserved it.
Hilarious.
Told him to just let him go. They're like, you're lucky. Just keep moving. It's like, oh, the war's almost over. We need that gold. It's like, it's not going to matter if you're dead, bud. Like, just leave the old man. They shot at his dog. I'm like, just leave him alone. I think the dog lived all the way through, too.
I think so.
What a trooper.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was a fucking goat at first. I was like, what in the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But it was decent. It was a good watch.
It's not always the case, but I feel like with both horror movies and action movies, I sometimes enjoy when characters are just cartoons. I mean, they're just complete Looney Tunes. I mean, they're just like, how the fuck are you Wile E. fucking Coyote? How the hell are you doing this? And it's just like, sometimes it's fun, but I feel like the movie around it needs to be like a fun movie. Like I guess I don't like it when it's like the movie does not warrant this character.
Right. Or like the movie's taking itself serious in that aspect. It's like, if you want to be serious, then be serious. Right. But like, don't be serious and then do outlandish shit.
It's almost kind of like when Fast and Furious just kind of owned up to what it was becoming, And it's like, you know what? We are fucking silly.
We will hook a hook to the bottom of Vin Diesel's car and swing across a cliff.
Right. What's the next craziest fucking thing we can do?
Go to space.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, I didn't watch that one.
I did in theaters. I saw it.
There they go.
I was like, they're really doing this.
Well, if they've gone to space, that means they got to go to hell next. That's them's the rules.
Them's the rules. If Jason taught me anything, it's you go to space and then on the way down you go to hell.
You go to hell.
Crash through.
Even in even in hell, we're still family.
But But those were my next two. So
Little action double feature there.
mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Well, my next one is still Spider-Man. It's
it's Spider-Man No Way Home again.
it's again. That's actually all 5 of my movies. I just couldn't stop watching it. Cried all 5 times. No, I was trying to have like a big Andrew Garfield week, and that stopped after this movie. But so Belle has not seen the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, so we watched The Amazing Spider-Man. I was happy she actually watched it. Like, actually watched it. Because sometimes she's doing other shit. She'll be on the computer or phone or some shit. But that night, she... it had been playing for a little while, and she was finishing up something. And then I was like, do you want me to just pause this? She's like, yeah, actually, can you just restart it so we can watch it? And I was like, yes. So we did, and she actually watched it. And, honestly... it's so goddamn good. I
enjoyed it. I feel like the second one gets a lot of flack.
But I enjoy that one too,
I don't understand necessarily.
I can understand, and
to an extent.
I'll talk more about it next week.
Oh, yeah.
But like...
we will.
Oh, we will. I'm getting those fucking Andrew Garfield movies in. But like, just the brief thing on Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like, I can understand where like... My biggest problem with it was like it tried setting up way too much. Like it was suffering from it wasn't focusing on itself. It was focusing on shit in the future. Right. But then because of that, it suffered and never got the chance to do these future things. And there's
definitely we're trying to do a Sinister Six type situation that never came to fruition.
Yeah. And but yeah, that first Amazing Spider-Man, I even remember seeing it in theaters and just being like, damn, that was so good. Like, I think Andrew Garfield is just like my favorite Spider-Man. As far as like, he might not be like, I know people have a problem with him as Peter Parker because he comes off a little too cool and charming for some people to be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But like,
I'd be on that bandwagon.
But as Spider-Man, because people, and I could agree with this, people are like, Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, yes, 100%.
And then Tom Holland is a good blend between the two.
For sure. Because my thing with Tom Holland was like, it was the first time we got to see like an age appropriate, for the most part, Spider-Man on screen.
I almost feel like Andrew Garfield should have been like a college Spider-Man.
Yeah. Which,
and not,
I guess he kind of was in the second movie.
Yeah, because
it started with graduation. But to go from watching No Way Home and then like immediately watching The Amazing Spider-Man, it was very interesting to see certain elements of his like Peter Parker that I'm like, that's interesting how there's this little through line where like, in No Way Home, he talks about kind of what happened after Gwen dies,
right? And
how he became rageful and didn't he didn't pull his punches anymore and stuff. Which I feel
we talked about that.
It's something that I always love when they bring it up.
It's super impactful. I wish you would have read
I know.
I don't even have it anymore.
I know. I was even looking into it the other day to get a copy of it. Just so I could fully read it. I read some of it. I don't think I finished it.
I never just gave it to you.
I think you did, and then I just didn't finish it or something. Or maybe I did, and I just don't remember. But
possible. It's very possible.
That's a long fucking time ago.
That's probably like close to 10 years ago.
Oh, it's like 2013, I think. Yeah.
Well, no, because I wouldn't have bought it until after I was in the military. Because I didn't even start reading Spider-Man until after that point. Yeah. Well, anyway. I'd say like 2015. But it doesn't.
Anyways, pulling the punches. It's a very impactful thing when it comes to Spider-Man. Like when you told me that, I was just like, damn. And I never forgot it. Like it's always stuck with me that's like a thing with Spider-Man. I love the way Amazing Spider-Man handles Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I feel like low-key, they were always kind of my favorite Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Because I feel like they give you time to endear yourself to this Uncle Ben before they fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And it makes it that much fucking worse once he's dead, and you're just like, damn. It never gets any easier.
And I really enjoyed that they tackled the Gwen Stacy storyline. And another thing that I loved about the first Amazing Spider-Man is I'm like a big reptile fan. Probably one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, just because it's
the lizard.
The lizard, reptile. Oh,
whatever. I thought you just meant in general you liked reptiles.
Well, I mean, I do.
I was just gonna roll with it.
So the lizard or whatever, because it was like the one supervillain that like Peter like could not physically like outmatch. Like he had to rely on his wits to be able to stop him, and then always then having that relationship with Dr. Connors, and so he doesn't like it is his friend that he is trying to help, and it's that conundrum of trying to save someone who is innocent.
I don't know if you remember in Across the Spider-Verse in Spider-Gwen's universe.
Yeah, it was Peter Parker.
Peter Parker was the lizard.
I'll never forget that.
I'll never forget it. Never forget it. But yeah, so there's definitely things I enjoyed about it for sure. But yeah, he says the thing about, in No Way Home, he says the thing about being rageful and stuff. And when you go back and watch Amazing Spider-Man, like it's there. Like it's present in this Peter. Like you see that after Uncle Ben dies. Like when he starts going around looking for the guy, he's kind of aggressive about it. Like, I mean, he starts fucking people up in a pursuit to find his uncle's killer.
Yeah.
And you can see that rage in him. Like it's present. And it's like, it's easy to see Andrew's Spider-Man going that direction after Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. And I think what I enjoyed about it too is even in No Way Home, like with Tobey Maguire specifically talking to Andrew about that, because it's like he also had his rage moments where he accidentally killed dude in the first one, and then when he found out about Flint or the Sandman, and he also had the Venom suit, which was just enhancing the anger inside of him, but to see to allow himself to have like that anger and rage kind of take over, he could definitely relate and be like, "You're good, bud." So a lot of sweet moments.
I really do just love it. I mean, if I had a time machine, I'd go back to little me and be like, "Dude, you're not gonna believe this," and I'd show him No Way Home. I'd be like, "This is gonna blow your little mind, dude." Like, and it does. Like, I mean, there's just something about Spider-Man that always touches off the little kid in me, it just sets it off. I'm just like, oh, I feel like a little kid again watching Spider-Man.
I used to have the little Spider-Man vehicle as a kid and stuff like that. Like I've always been like
into it. Well, because even
Spider-Man fan.
Fantastic Four's coming up, and those were like the first two comics I read as a kid, was Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. Like those were my shit when I was a kid, and of course we got those movies when we were kids too.
Yeah,
and it's like, I really enjoyed those. I saw the first Fantastic Four in theaters as a kid. Same with the Spider-Man movies, and
I saw the second one in theaters.
Fantastic Four. Yeah, but they were very impactful on me. I always just enjoy, and they both share a connection too. I didn't like in one of Spider-Man's first adventures, he teamed up with the Fantastic Four, or attempted to. Anyways.
Yes, and they
said, "Get the fuck out of here."
They're like, "We don't make," because he was like trying to like make it like a job,
5.
And so they felt real bad, like because like he came and like fucked them all up pretty much as like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
And like that's not really like we don't make money off of it. It's like, oh, like we are 4, not 5. And he's like, oh, and kind of just sauntered off. And they're like, oh, we kind of feel bad for the guy. And like him and Johnny, were good, because Johnny Storm was the one who made the vehicle for Peter in the first place. Oh, he made the car for him. The Mysterio did his Mysterio shit and made him crash it into a pier, and he lost it.
Oh,
and he's like,
I'll do it.
I'd rather swing anyways.
That'll do it.
So,
but yeah, man, Amazing Spider-Man. I like the Gwen stuff in it. I mean, there's a lot of great moments in it. I love the stuff with Captain Stacy and the promise he has to make him at the end. That kind of affects that relationship moving forward.
Yeah.
And how that just kind of haunts them and stuff. But yeah, I was watching it and I'm like, I just feel like this it's top tier Spider-Man for me. I really do. I like, he's boots on the ground in New York, and like, especially, I know these moments exist in other Spider-Man movies, but especially in both Amazing Spider-Mans, there are these moments that I'm like, yes, this is what Spider-Man means to me in these moments. Like when when the lizard first attacks everybody on the bridge and is like throwing the cars off the bridge, and he's like, webbing up the cars and shit. And there's that kid in one of them, and he's got to get the kid out, and the car catches on fire, and he like takes his mask off and he hands it to the kid, and he's like, put it on, it'll make you strong and all that stuff. And I'm just like, it makes me emotional. Like I'm tearing up right now. I'm just like, I love that kind of shit. And then like, that's what this, means to this kid. Like, and then like at the end, it's actually that comes back around, because the father of that kid is the construction worker at the end. It's like, hey, that guy helped save my kid.
Oh yeah, they
get all the guys with the cranes, and like,
those, he got shot in the leg.
Mm-hmm. And then there's those moments, even in the Tobey Maguire ones. And again, we don't get this in Tom Holland ones because he's just not in New York like that. Where it's like, even in Tobey Maguire, there's those moments where New York comes together, and protects Spider-Man.
Even in the first one, when he's holding like the car in the bridge that Mary Jane's on, and then everyone's like, "You mess with New York, you mess with all of us." They start throwing the trash at him and stuff like that.
The second one on the train, when he's just a kid.
All carry him up.
It's okay, we won't tell. Ugh.
Thank you. And then puts the mask on.
I love it, dude. And then at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, the first time I saw it, it made me tear up when like the Rhino shows back up and the kid goes under the police line and like puts on his little Spider-Man mask and is just gonna like take on the Rhino and stuff. And then Andrew shows up and he's like, "I got this, bud." And I'm just like, yes, like this is what not just Spider-Man but superheroes in general like mean to me. Like it's they inspire, and like I love it.
Definitely enjoyed it as well. And that was The Amazing Spider-Man.
It sure was.
Let's see. Do you want me to save Babylon for later? Or do you want...
for it. That's next on my list, so...
Okay, well, it's not exactly next, but it's going to be my last of my second on this go-round.
So what's the first of your second?
The first one, I was going to get there.
It's okay. You said we were done with Amazing Spider-Man. You're making that decision for me, so I just thought I'd return the favor.
I thought I ran his course.
Oh, no, I was done.
But
you said, and that's Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, there was the pause, so...
Maybe I was collecting my thoughts. Maybe I was just reminiscing on my journey with Spider-Man.
Well, fuck me then. But the next movie I watched was The Fallout.
Okay.
With Jenna Ortega and other people. It's so...
Other people who weren't Jenna Ortega.
They weren't. I don't know what their names were.
Not Jenna Ortega, so fuck them.
And so the movie is essentially about these three high schoolers that are involved in a school shooting.
Oh.
And they hide in a bathroom stall together. And so they're all kind of like bonded by this traumatic event. And so then like the rest of the movie is just kind of like...
The Fallout.
Yeah, yes, thank you. And how they're all dealing with it and trying to cope and move forward with life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have a little bit of a hot take that sometimes I feel like Jenna Ortega is overrated.
You know what? It's so funny you say that because I was about to say, Philip, I have a little bit of a hot take. I don't know how I feel about Jenna Ortega.
And that's part of the reason why I watched this movie, because like I feel like so many people are just like, "Oh my God, Jenna Ortega." I'm just like,
it's like at first I don't want to say I dislike her.
I don't.
Because I don't.
I
like her. But I would agree with your statement.
Yeah.
I do feel like she's overrated. And I just feel like she's in a ton of shit sometimes.
Yeah. And I feel like she kind of just gets typecast by kind of the same role a little bit.
I'd like to see her spread her wings a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I feel like I did enjoy the Fallout because I did feel like I got more range out of her, but she still was kind of like in her comfort of just being like a moody
teenager. Yeah.
You know, so but there was more like emotion and kind of stuff like that involved. So I don't know, because like Wednesday, there's just like the no emotion, like even like in the Scream movies, she's not really there, but they're just using it like, oh, but Jenna Ortega's in this, to try to get people to come and see it and stuff like that. I'm just like, even in Beetlejuice, I felt like very small, minor role, and it's just trying to cash out on
Jenna Ortega's popularity. I feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's getting all these things.
Yeah,
you know?
she's
like
not
she's
bad.
But I feel like after Wednesday is when I was like, all right. So I was like, I don't need Jenna Ortega in everything, you know.
So that's just kind of how I felt about it. I did enjoy the movie, so I knew this movie was gonna make me cry.
I did not know that's what this movie was about.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's on. I think it's on Max.
I believe so.
If you want to check it out. Well, I pretty much already told you what happens, but so I knew this movie was gonna make me cry at the beginning because Jenna Ortega and her little sister have this bond. Like the little sister calls her because she just had her period and stuff like that. So they're talking like, oh, we're gonna go out to dinner, and she left class to go into the hallway to make this phone call, and she goes into the bathroom, and that's when shit goes down.
Yeah. And
so after it all happened, she started being distant towards her little sister, who is her big sister, is her best friend, and all of a sudden she's shutting her out.
Yeah.
And I'm about to fucking cry just talking about it. It's so it was really upsetting me, and I'm just I know later this is all gonna come back around. They're gonna have a fucking moment together, and it's gonna make me cry. And then towards the end of the movie, she crawls in her bed. She's like, I had a nightmare. She's like, well, what if my school's next and all this other stuff. And she finally gets to Jenna Ortega, and she's like, oh no, you're my best friend, I love you, and all that. I just cried.
Nice.
Just tears. I'm like, God damn, if it isn't a fucking sibling relationship, they'll get me every fucking time. Dude. And I enjoyed it. I did like it.
I mean,
what it was.
School shooting storylines too are just a recipe for any sort of mass shooting. Is just like a recipe for tears, for sure. There's a short film on Netflix. I think it's called "If Anything Happens, I Love You," and it's very short, and it wrecked the fuck out of me because that's what it's about. It's about a school shooting, and it's like a little animated thing, and I don't even know if it's 12 minutes long. It's very short. Whew, it was rough, dude. I was like, damn, this is brutal. Just sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's just too real.
Yeah. It just sucks that, shit like that even fucking happens to begin with. And it is a real problem that kids, we didn't have to worry about that going to school. Sure, the Columbine and the Sandusky shooting happened. It's
but they were
Virginia Tech happened when within the time that we were in school.
They were anomalies at the time. They were few and far between.
It wasn't every other week that there was a school shooting happening or whatever.
Admittedly, even now, with my son, people will say all the time, oh, he's going to be going to school with so-and-so. And I bring up homeschooling a lot. And they're like, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm like, I don't know, man. I was like, it just kind of freaks me out. And people try to kind of argue with me on it, but it's shit ain't the same. When we went to school, it wasn't the same as when our parents went to school. And now, when our kids go to school, it's not the same as when we went to school. It's just the world has changed. And it's scary. I definitely know when that time comes. It terrifies me to send my child to school for that exact reason. Even I'll even say outside of the schools, just the mass shootings in general make me nervous to go places. I don't like going to crowded places anymore. Right. Almost every time there's a big event, the Super Bowl this week, we're watching the Super Bowl, and I'm just I get nervous. I always expect something like that to happen. If it's a major event like that, And when the movie theater shootings happened, like, bro, I mean, these are all places, churches, schools, like all these places that these should be our safe havens.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the movie theater is my church. Like, this is where I go to escape and feel safe and collect myself. And there was a period of time where, like, I had a lot of anxiety about going to the movies.
Yeah.
For that exact reason. Like, it was shortly after, like, a movie theater shooting that, like, I remember I went and saw Southpaw, and I knew that the scene was going to come up where Rachel McAdams gets shot or whatever. And I was just, like, terrified. I was so fucking anxious in that movie theater. I was stressed just because I thought somebody was going to stand up and take the opportunity to just unload on us. And I still, to this day, every time we go to the movies, it's on my mind.
Yeah.
And I hate that that's, you know, what we live with.
Even Gangster Squad had to change their whole scene because there was a scene where they shot up a movie theater. That was like shortly after the whole Dark Knight Rises incident and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I will say I don't think theater shootings are as...
No, but it's just the
fact
just
that
mass shootings in general.
The fact
like
that
to not generalize it to generalize it into mass shootings and not make it specific like locales. You know, it's just like it's a problem.
Yeah, it's still something that happens regardless.
Anyways, and that was the Fallout.
And so I forgot to add another movie to my list.
Oh.
So I'll just save Babylon for when you talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So what I forgot to add to my list was a documentary.
Oh, documentary of the week.
I got my documentary in, and it was Seaspiracy, or Seaspiracy? Yeah.
Seaspiracy? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's pretty much about the sea and how
it conspires against us. Atlantis raging a war on the humans.
You know what? And I wouldn't blame Atlantis. From what I saw in this documentary, it's pretty fucked up, man. I don't know. I was just talking about, like, you know, how people as consumers are, like, pretty much just killing the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, we just are taking too many fish or destroying, like, the coral reefs and stuff like that. And just, like, how if we don't stop what we're doing, essentially, we're going to fuck up the world.
It's kind of like the documentary I watched a few weeks ago, that Buy Now, the shopping conspiracy or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were talking about a lot of the same stuff of like, we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. They were saying that, like, if we don't change stuff, like, by 2046, like, the world will come to an end because of our negligence towards the world. And I was talking about it with the person that recommended it to me and stuff like that, where it's just like, it's sad how the world as a whole just seems to take things for granted. And it kind of reminded me of the movie Mother, where it's just like, we're just raping the land of all its resources and just purely for mainly greed is like the main one.
I was going to say, you know, they say money's the root of all evil, but in truth, it's greed. Like, greed is the root of all evil.
Yeah, the love of money is the root of all evil. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like one of those things where it's like, you know, I can say, okay, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to stop. And, like, that's cool. But, like, ultimately, we need the whole world to be like, fuck. Okay, like, or, you know, this, like, we really need to change something. Like, we're going to wipe ourselves into extinction. That's ultimately what's going to come down to. I don't care how it happens, but at some point in time, whether it's deforesting the land or killing the sea, like we're both essentially, where it's like we're just lighting a shit on both ends. And it's just
that's like, what it said in that Buy Now is like it can only go so many places, the air, the water, and the land, and it's like we're poisoning all three. And at a certain point, like it's just not going to be livable anymore.
Yeah. So
we're literally, Wall-E was prophetic as fuck.
You know, so and it's just sad because it's like, the people that could be, the people that are ahead of these companies and can make these drastic decisions if they want. Like the ones that are allowing this to happen are just like, oh, fuck it.
Well,
don't care. I make hundreds of millions of dollars a year in profit off of, quote unquote sustainable fish and stuff like that. It's disgusting.
Well, the right hand man to greed is ignorance.
Yeah.
Because it's like you got all these greedy people on top that are kind of doing this, but then like all of us as consumers, I mean, there's, especially I feel like in this day and age of like meme culture, people think it's a big old fucking joke.
Oh, it's not.
And it's not. And it's like they think it's a joke and they're like, oh, well, let it burn. Oh, if we all die, we all die. It's like, no, we are going to die. Like, we are killing our planet. Like,
now, granted, I do understand that we all die at some point, but we don't have to fucking
we don't have to speed up the process.
It's getting to the point where, like, we might not even fucking make it to the end of our lives before it all
it's
comes
bad, man.
to an end. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's scary to think that, like, to be I mean, don't get, I love my dystopian apocalyptic type movies, but I don't want to live it.
If I want to be a part of one, I'll go to the IMAX.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to really feel like I need to like start building a bunker somewhere and like, but that's kind of just like where shit. And even if I did that, like, what, I'm prolonging the inevitable, at that point, and so.
Unless you get to rock it out in the new dystopian Mad Max Earth that we live on.
So I mean, and then deal with a bunch of crazies, like it's just like I don't know. That's just, it got me thinking. I mean, the documentary itself was okay.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was a little long. It was only like an hour and 40 minutes, but I got the point pretty early on and they just kind of kept driving home. Just like, all right, I get it. we're terrible. Well, the world's terrible.
Yeah.
To its resources. And, the Native Americans had it right. Appreciate the land and learn to live off of it and be one with it. Not, oh, this is here for me. I'm just going to do whatever I want.
I keep coming back to that recently. Like, not just, because of that Buy Now documentary I watched, but, just learning more about Native American spirituality and just in my own beliefs and faiths and stuff. And the more I learn, like, I am trying to incorporate more of these things. But I was just thinking on this the other day of like, they talk about some of the mysticism of, the Native Americans and all that jazz. And it's like, well, what if it's true, but we've gotten so far away from that because everything I read, it always talks about going back to nature. Yeah. And it's like, I feel that, like, there's plenty of times where I'm like, I need to get outside. Like, I need to be in nature. I want to go get lost in a forest, like I want to be on the river. I want to be in the water. Like, I want these things. And I feel like that's when I feel the most connected with life. And I think there's something to that. And we just keep distancing ourselves from that.
Yeah.
And, of course, they would wipe out this whole race of people who, I feel like had it on the money, man.
Yeah.
This has become a very depressing fucking episode. We need Spider-Man. We need Captain America.
Yeah.
We need somebody to stop this shit. We need to stop this shit. That's
as much as we
not
can.
Just me and you personally.
I was about to say, like, what are we gonna do? Try
our best.
We're gonna try, goddamn
right?
it.
Our best.
Put us in a platform where we can preach.
We're here.
We're here. Guess what? We did it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. All right. Well, our job here is done. All right. World saved.
I did my good deed. I recycle my bottles.
But it's kind of like, last year when we were hitting the Godzilla movies hard, Godzilla and a lot of, its sequels and stuff, like a lot of the kaiju stuff is like Mother Nature, they're animals. They're, and I was just telling Belle the other day, like, if believe me, you know, because her mother is big on letting us know what the weather's doing. She loves her disaster movies and his shows, because every time the weather gets even remotely bad, we get a lot of texts. You know, oh, have you been watching the weather? Do you know that? Yes, I do. Whereas my mother's the flip side of that, where she's just like, whatever. It's just drive slow, you know. Right, yeah. But like, I told Bella, I was like, the fact of the matter is, if Mother Nature doesn't want us to be here, she'll wipe us the fuck out.
We'll have
like,
a happening situation.
Yeah, we will not be here. She will wipe us off the fucking face of the planet.
Well, look at the coronavirus.
Yeah.
They can say it was man-made or not, but even if it was, I mean...
But things always balance themselves out. Yeah. They always do.
Yeah. And we're going to have to, because we're getting to a point, like, right now, where we're at a point of, like, no return.
Yeah.
It's like either we're going to make a drastic change or we're fucked.
Yeah.
And it looks leaning towards fucked, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? It's just, but there's too many people, I think, that have, like, that mindset of, like, oh, I'm just one person. It's not going to make a difference if I do anything. It's like, well, with that
eight together strong.
You know what I'm saying? Like, cause
motherfuckers.
I always preach that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, this is going to happen. I'm like, yeah, well, that fucking attitude. I'm like, if you just are going to go into a situation negatively, then you're probably going to get a negative result. And, like, that's just, like,
people be quoting scripture. I'd be quoting fucking Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
He had it right,
you know. And then he knew what the fuck was up.
Apes twisted his words, and
they became humans, basically.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we can. That's like a whole. That's like a whole thing.
That's a whole thing. We're big on the Planet of the Apes.
You know, watch any of them this week.
Any fucking ways.
And that was Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy, cool. I do have Babylon next.
Yeah.
That is my next one. Yep. If you want to get into that.
Yeah, that's why I went to Seaspiracy to kind of knock off some of my extras.
Yeah, so Babylon, I saw it in theaters when it came out. And because I love the director, Damien Chazelle, who did Whiplash and La La Land. Never did see First Man. But I did set it aside. I own it. I set it aside to watch it because I was like, this is literally his only movie I have not seen. It was wild that first time. I didn't quite know what to make of it all leaving the theater that day. I was like, this was excessive. But low-key, I think that was kind of the whole point of the movie. It was like the excess of everything. I will say this, enjoyed it immensely more the second time around. Not that I didn't like it the first time, just didn't really know how to feel about it all. It was a lot.
It was a lot. I almost felt like it was too much for me at one point. Where I just felt like I kind of just checked out.
Yeah.
After
Well, it is 3 hours on the dot. The credits start rolling at 3 hours.
Oh, because I made it the first hour where it's the silver screen, kind of like the silent films, the craziness of what it would take to make a movie, and
which was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie is when it keeps going back and forth between Margot Robbie and her first day on set, and then Manny on his first day on set and having to go get the camera. It's probably my favorite part of the whole movie is that little section.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. I felt like that second hour, I kind of just checked out a little bit. Came back around for that third and final hour, and I was like, okay, I need to get back into it. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was sad that Brad Pitt killed himself. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I felt like more so because of the fact that he was there for that dude.
Yeah.
All those times.
Yeah.
Help him out when he got stuck in the toilet.
George. She's a lesbian. That's an uphill battle for anybody.
Yeah, and then it's when he needed someone there for him, there was no one around.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I mean, he was devastated when George finally, bit the bullet.
Yeah. So it's just and he kind of knew that his fame had kind of ran its course.
Yeah.
a little bit. So he was, and like all he knew was like that's who he was. Like that's what he lived by. I think having that conversation with that chick where she's like, "Well, you're gonna be remembered forever." He's like, "Well, then fuck it, then." Like, I did what I needed to on this earth.
Is a beautiful speech. That little speech she gives. I mean, it is beautiful. It's something that I think about. With making movies and stuff. And I will say that, I mean, Babylon, it in its own dark kind of way is a love letter to movies.
Most definitely. There's no two ways.
No, I mean, it's 100% a love letter to cinema, and it just kind of, it does not shy away from the ugliness of that. Yeah. Too.
Even like with Margot Robbie kind of losing herself, and the drugs.
Oh man, I hated seeing Manny lose himself the most. That was like the most heartbreaking to me. Yeah. Like to see him be like so like innocent and full of like awe of all of this at the beginning, and like to just lose himself to like the corporate nature of it all as he went along was just devastating. Like, especially how it affected him and Margot Robbie's relationship and everything. And it was rough.
And he had to leave LA because of it. Like, he had to, and then he came back with his daughter and was like, this is where I used, like, there was that, like, he did love it, and that was something that, like, was always going to be a part of him. And he allowed himself to lose it. Yeah. Essentially. So
I love... Even the first time I saw it, I loved the ending when he's when he goes into the movie theater.
Oh yeah, and he just like watches
and he just starts sobbing as he's watching the movie that's playing, and it's like very reminiscent of the things that happened in his own life, and then he starts thinking about it, and then it just starts playing all these clips from movies and stuff, and it's just like this little brief homage to film. And I was like, that was a nice note to end on, and to like show the audience members and like how they're all just taking in the movie. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, like, it's
because then it even went into like the newer movies and kind of like the evolution that movies have gone from like start to finish, and like how things have changed, but it's always there to grasp the audience and stuff like that. So I mean, there's definitely
we're all strangers sitting in the dark having the same experience, it's magical, you know. And
for sure.
And another scene I really enjoyed, especially the second time around, is after Brad Pitt gets the call that George has killed himself, and he gets in that fight with his wife at the time. Yeah. And because she says that movies are like a low form of art or whatever. Yeah. And his whole little tangent he goes on about what movies mean to him, and they mean something to people, Right. It's like, however many people go see your play and it's considered a hit. Well, here it's a flop, and and it's just like, I found that to be, there's a lot of moments that like watching it the second time around, I'm like, these are very impactful speeches that they're giving. Like, I think, like I said, I kind of found it beautiful, like that, when she's just kind of laying it out for him, like, you're going to be dancing with ghosts and angels, like forever. Like, somebody 50 years from somebody who's not even born right now someday will see you up on the screen
and think that they know you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's so true. It's like, how many people do we watch that were just like, I feel like I know this guy, but we don't. It's just like, there's just something there that we connect with. I mean, that's what I love about movies, is that connection.
Yeah. And I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they were talking, well, all they do is talk about movies, but they were talking about, I don't know, like someone that died or whatever, and the guest speaker, she was like, like, I think they're talking about Patrick Swayze or whatever, and they're like, I cried. Like when he passed and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think my roommate made the comment, it was like, oh, you cried over someone you never even met. It's like, well, yes. And that's like, well, you've also cried because of people that you never met and passed, like the lead singer of Linkin Park and stuff like that. It's like, with art specifically, just to finish my thought real quick, it's like, you don't have to meet someone, but like, you have that like personal connection. Like, even watching like even to go back to Spider-Man.
Yep.
Like watching the Tobey Maguire movies and stuff like that. Like those are things that like were like a cornerstone to like our childhood and stuff like that. Where it's like, would I cry if Tobey Maguire died? Probably not.
Not necessarily.
But
I was gonna
sad.
say I cried when Stan Lee died.
Stuff like that, where it's like these people do have an impact on your life and stuff like that. Even like with music and stuff like that, or whatever form of art it is that you're portraying. It's like,
I know the day that they say Jim Carrey has passed away, I will cry. I know that for a fact. I mean, he had such a monumental impact on my life, and I've never met the man. It's just like you said, the power of art.
Yeah. So definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think about that even like with us, like making movies and film or whatever. It's like, God forbid, the world doesn't last that long. but saying that it does, like, when we have had our time and past and can still be able to send a message to like generations well past our time. I think there's just something beautiful about that.
100%.
So
yeah, to continue the heaviness of this episode, there was a guy I knew many years ago at this point who he was a professor at UCLA, and we formed a bit of a relationship, and he taught Tim Robbins and Jack Black and Matthew Lillard and all sorts of people. And he and I were in a movie together, and I'll never forget, because he passed away before the movie was over. And I learned a lot of lessons just from his death in general of like, I remember I received an email from him, and it was one of those things of like, I'm gonna message him back, and then it was too late to message him back, sort of thing. That was like the first time in my life I ever kind of had that sort of thing happen. But then I remember going to the premiere of this movie, and in the movie he dies, and there's like a funeral scene, and the energy in that theater of like all of us that knew him, seeing him in that casket in this scene, even though he's acting in that scene, he's really gone, and just feeling that. I mean, it's but my point of bringing him up is we went to the movie. We only ever got to go see one movie together, and we saw Lawless in theaters.
Okay.
And before Lawless, they were playing the trailers and everything, and of course there's these brainless action movies and shit like that that's playing, and I'll never forget, he turned to me and he said, "Promise me that when you start making movies, you make stuff that means something."
Right.
And that stuck with me, It has forever. And I mean, I feel like I'm always deliberate about that. Like, I'm not always trying to put messages into our movies, but like, I feel like we're always trying to look for the theme. Like, what does it mean to us? Even if the intent is just to entertain, like, I want to know why we're making the movie. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, we've kind of had this talk of like, everybody has their preference too. Like, sometimes there's nothing wrong with a little brainless action movie or some stupid comedy. Like, it's not going to be for everybody, but if that's what makes you happy, if that's what's going to bring joy, there's still a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that always stuck with me. Burying the lead a little bit here on Babylon, though, is that fucking opening to that movie. And I checked the time on it to see just how much of this shit happens in the amount of time that it does. And just within the first 5 minutes of the movie, if that, the dude gets shit on by the elephant, which was disgusting. And that's literally like 2-3 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Like this is literally like, this is what you're getting into. And
that's just trying to get to the party.
Yeah, and so the elephant shits on the guy, and then like immediately after that, you got the chick pissing on the dude.
Oh yeah,
and then
like immediately after.
And then like all within the first 10 minutes, there's like orgies, there's dicks, tits, vaginas, just people fucking everywhere, copious amounts of drugs. A chick overdoses. I mean, it is just berserk. It is just fucking insane. These like first, and then like the title doesn't even show up on screen until like 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like craziness. I mean, like I said, seeing that in theater, it was overstimulating. I was like, geez Louise. And it's like that's how it sets you off on this journey. And,
right.
And then near the end, when Tobey Maguire showing back up. When Tobey Maguire, I was like, see, now I feel like I'm just watching a different movie altogether because this shit just got weird.
Yeah, it did get weird.
And
it took me a second to realize that because I saw him like, is that Tobey Maguire? And then like, sure enough, after enough time went by, I was like,
sure.
Oh yeah, no, that is Tobey Maguire.
But no, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. It's an excessive movie for sure. Not an easily rewatchable movie, but I did enjoy it.
I'd be watching it a second time. I just felt like partially because I checked out a little bit in the middle.
Which, of all the points to check out, I do feel like it's so crazy for that first hour of the movie that when it does slow down a little bit, when the talkies come around and stuff, like it does, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and even like the Sidney Poitier stuff like that was sad.
Oh man, that was devastating.
You know, where they had him put like to do like the black.
Basically said he wasn't black enough.
Yeah, and that whole.
I'm glad he quit.
Issue. Yeah, he was like,
he said, I won't be back.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, that was a sad scene.
But a hard truth at that time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Crazy.
Babylon.
And that was Babylon. Unless Chase has more to say, I don't want to.
I don't think so.
Don't want to cut him off too soon.
And that was Babylon.
So you want me to go down my next two?
Hey, do it.
All right, I will. That's what I'm here to do.
All right, do it.
I don't know why I picked it up as if I didn't know. I watched Cuckoo.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And,
okay.
Not a whole lot to say about it. I feel like at best it was okay. I mean,
I don't know if it was just seeing it with who I saw it with that made me feel so negative towards it, but
it's possible. I mean, because I didn't think it was like a horrendous piece of shit by any means. I think I also went into the mindset of it being a horrendous piece of shit. So, like, I was able to
I set that bar pretty damn low for you.
So it wasn't too hard to make that high jump, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I mean, I understood what you were saying where, like, the scene with, like, when she finds all the stuff from the house and, like, all the messages and stuff like that, and then she hears the one from her sister and how it didn't have much of like an emotional weight at the time. I understood that, but at the same time it did come back around at the end, and so it did kind of like come around to where it did have more of an impact. I let that slide.
But you like the sibling thing.
I do.
I was actually thinking earlier when you were talking about the fallout, I'm like, it's funny because we're going to talk about the inverse of this here in a little bit.
And so I mean, I did. I mean, she hated her sister, loved hate type relationship, and I don't know. I think she's just angry. She's just mad.
Of course she was.
Took it out on someone who didn't deserve it. I will say the one thing that like didn't make the most sense to me is like, for one, I understood that like the creatures or whatever had like hypnotic powers in a sense. But what didn't make sense to me is that like everything kept on like repeating.
Yeah.
Like was that part of?
But
like,
they never even
was that part of
that.
like the hypnosis? Like they hypnotized them into doing the same thing over and over again.
We needed a little soundboard to just be like, was that at the rally or did you add that? What was it?
Because that was confusing. Another thing that was confusing, like if she was chasing the girl on the bike in the beginning. It's like, why didn't she just use her hypnotic powers then to catch her? Why is she just chasing her? Yeah. Things that didn't make sense.
Well, that was like my whole experience of that movie. It was just like nothing added up for me. I was like, none of this. It feels like another one of those where like things are happening, but things aren't happening because of things happening. Like it's just...
So I mean, there was just like kind of just like a lot of that. So I mean, it was all right, but. overall, it wasn't like
just felt lazy to me. That was my problem with it. Just a lazy movie.
Yeah.
With apologies to the creators.
So there was one thing that would have made the movie better. Is so like when she stabs the former police officer with a knife, and she twists. What he should have said was, "Oh, you're twisted." You're twisted. That would have made the movie
makes everything better.
At least two grades higher. It would have bumped it up a lot in my book.
And my boy Dan Stevens was in it too. And I mean, as usual, he was good, but like, just feel like he didn't really have a lot to do. I mean, other than kind of be the villain. You know?
Yeah, because he didn't really do much, and he didn't really explain much either.
Neither did any of the rest of the movie.
No, no, it did not. It was just kind of like, I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
It felt like a lot of style over substance.
Yeah. And I feel like if you wanted to make it, you could have made the creatures a little bit more scary.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think the creatures. I almost thought it was just goofy, to be honest. Like once you actually see it, and there's just a lot of, I don't know. The whole movie felt like an exercise in, wasn't that neat? It's like, I mean, sure, but like, what?
Yeah, because then like another thing that didn't make sense is like when they're driving, it's like, how is she able to do her little sonar thing loud enough to get them in the car?
Yeah.
You know, and then didn't make sense. You know, apparently super strong because she threw that bitch like fucking 200 yards. She went phew with it, woo! Because I had to remind myself that they were stronger than normal because like, you know, so she's holding the main character is holding a knife over the younger daughter to get the monster to leave her the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And so then the daughter or the younger sister looks into the window and sees that she's holding the knife above her. She could have said a little sign language like, "I'm not gonna hurt you" or something. I could have gave her a little heads up like, "Hey, chill out," you know. Yeah. But then she like pushed her and she like shoves her on the floor. I'm like, pretty strong for an 8-year-old. But I was like, oh, that's right, because they are stronger than the normal person.
Yes.
Overall, just okay. Nothing really good about it, I guess. It wasn't, that was, like I said, it was okay at best. Like, it was alright, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Just okay. I wouldn't say that I hated it by any means. I've seen worse movies, but they just didn't really explain anything, and it kind of just ended. So I was like, all right.
It is one I always told myself after that first watch that I might give it a second chance just to see if it was really as bad as I felt it was the first time around. But I don't usually feel that way about movies, so I kind of feel like I'm right. I feel like I'm like there's been nothing to really make me want to rewatch that movie. You know?
Yeah, and that was Cuckoo.
And that was good. Definitely, I'm done with that one.
And so my next one is Monkey Man, which was probably my favorite movie that I've watched this week.
Oh yeah.
So far, my favorite movie this month.
Whoa.
Yes, I really fucked with it.
That's exciting to hear.
I really enjoyed it.
I was looking forward to seeing that one.
I just thought it was nice. Have you seen it?
No, not yet.
Oh, well then I'm not.
I told you we're going to flip-flop this week.
Oh yeah, because I'm supposed to watch
my next movie.
The Green Hornet.
No.
Or the
you can watch The Green Hornet if you want to. The Green Knight.
The Green Knight. I knew it was green something. Green Hornet. Crystal clear. Fucking. But I enjoyed it, so I won't say anything about it, and because I do have more movies to go through, so we just
zip on by.
Something to look forward to next week, folks.
Hell yeah, I'm looking forward to it,
especially
with a glowing review like that, because I feel like I just didn't hear bad things when it came out, but like I just feel like it was kind of quiet.
I felt like it was slept on.
Yeah, because I do know that like Jordan Peele personally made sure that movie got a theatrical release.
Yeah, like he endorsed it the fuck out of it.
He loved it so much.
He put his name on it.
Yep, he came on as a producer and he said, "No, we're putting this motherfucker out."
You guys need to watch this.
Yeah.
Guess what? I did.
Hey.
Should I just go to the next one then?
For
a time's sake?
If you want, I can springboard, because I also have, outside of movies, I have a little bit more to talk about with the shows and stuff I watched.
Oh, yeah,
so I'll springboard off your Dev Patel movie and talk a little bit about The Green Knight. I won't get too far into it. Also something to look forward to next week. It is one, I'm curious to hear what you think about it. Because, like I said, as I was watching it, I'm like, I don't really know if like this is gonna end up being my thing, and like I don't know. By the time it was all said and done, I was like, you know what, I liked that. I did. I liked that. I feel like it was very like, it was a neat little visual feast. Dev Patel was really good in it. What I did find kind of interesting was that like, so it's based on like a King Arthur legend of Sir, I believe his name is Gawain or Gawain or something like that. Sir Gawain.
You think I read I read the Once and Future King. You think I
would know? You've probably come across the fellow at some point.
At some point, I do fuck with King Arthur.
But yeah, like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight was like what it was based on or whatever. And the Green Knight shows up on Christmas Day and proposes a challenge. And this is right after King Arthur asks Gawain to tell him a tale about himself, to get to know him. And he's like, I have no tales to tell. He's like, what do you see when you look around? And it's like, the round table and shit. He's like, I see legends. And he feels like he needs to, step up
create a legend of himself.
And so when the Green Knight shows up, he proposes a little Christmas game. And it was one of those, we were joking earlier about like if a different decision was made, the movie would have just been over, like right there in the opening. So I understood why he had to make the decision he made, but I was like, that's silly. Why would you do that? But the rules of the game were choose a challenger, and if they can strike a blow on me, then in a year's time to the day, they must meet me at this place so I may return that blow, whether it be a cut on the cheek or, like cutting off your head or whatever. Whatever you do to me, I will do it back to you in a year. And that's the challenge that's set. And yeah, if that was like, if I heard those rules, I'd be like, boop, like I wouldn't fuck around and like, go straight for the fucking kill. But well, then you'd not have a movie. So of course he gets a little gung ho and cuts the motherfucker's head off, and basically is waiting like a year to be like, you really think he's gonna cut my head off? Like if I go see this fucking guy? But what really sold me on it was the ending. There's a thing that happens at the end that I was like, I liked that. I liked that quite a bit. But yeah, no, we'll talk more about it next week. I'm because like I don't know, medieval stuff for me is kind of hit or miss. And
I fuck with the time period.
I know you do.
I do.
So that's why I'm more curious to see what you think about this. But it was one for me, because I watched it like right after Babylon that night, and I almost didn't, but I was like, you know what? I have owned this movie since it pretty much came out in 2021, probably around 2022 by the time it came out on Blu-ray or whatever, and I bought it, A24 flick.
Fuck, with me to cross off my list.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to watch it forever, but I just knew it was going to be one that I need to set aside time and watch this thing. Like I don't want to be distracted and everything. So I had the time the other night, and I was like, you know what? I think this is going down. It should go down, and we're doing it. And I dove in, and I'm glad I did.
Good.
Yeah, so more on that next week.
Sweet. Was that it? Are you ready for me to go?
And that was The Green Knight.
That was The Green Knight. And so I actually did a twofer. this week a second documentary.
Oh boy!
Yes, how exciting! I know people really love to tune in for my documentary talks.
It's documentary of the week.
I don't think I got in one last week, so I did. I had 14 peaks. Yep. I sure did. I fucking did. The Girl in the Picture was the documentary I watched.
Okay.
And really, this also kind of almost ties in with my next one, so that works a little bit. Not exactly, but in a sense. And you'll know when we get there. So pretty much
build that suspense, bud.
The Girl in the Picture was pretty much about like
a picture with a girl.
Yes, and that was the girl in the picture. And so it was like this. What was believed to be like this dad and daughter, like were married. It was weird, and so. And like apparently there was like it was like a murder documentary.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Apparently this dude went by a bunch of different aliases, and people thought it was like his daughter that he married and stuff like that. And then come to find out, it wasn't. It was just like this girl he kidnapped, and then there was like abuse going on and stuff like that, and he like killed a couple other people, and it was just kind of fucked up and disturbing. They got him and all that good jazz, and it was all right. Yeah. It was a
murder doc.
It was a murder documentary. Yeah. Wasn't my not always like my cup of tea. I feel like, but I don't mind checking it out every once in a while. Good God.
Past Philly's bedtime.
Shit, I think I still have things to do after this. So it was. It was all right. There's really not much more to say on it, or that I feel like I need to say about it.
That was the girl in the picture.
That was the girl in the picture, and it was decent. If you enjoy murder documentaries, check it out. It'll probably be up your alley. If not, don't know what to tell you. And so my next one is...
Don't fucking watch it then.
My next one is Hold the Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So...
Did you finish it? Did you
go back rewatched it completely.
Oh, you poor thing.
And so, I mean, granted, I kind of just didn't really care about the beginning since I already saw it. So I was like, and then I got to the point that I missed, and I was like, okay. And then I just ended up finishing it. I was originally just going to turn it off.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And it was just okay.
Yeah. Was it any better having seen the middle?
No, but I will say, like, you brought up, like, I guess in the book, there was, like, the incest twist at the end, which is why I said they're kind of correlated. Gotcha. And I felt like they never, well, I mean, they didn't. They never explicitly said that, like, in the movie, but there were definitely, like implications. I felt like, because, like, when he first went to the wife or whatever, and he's talking to her, and he was like, so how long when did you meet your husband? And she's like, I didn't meet him. Like, I've known him my whole life and stuff like that. And then, like, towards, like, the middle of the movie, he's, like, talking to the husband is talking to, like, this dude trying to find her. Or talking more or less. He's a man of very few words. And the guy was like, he's like, oh yeah, I saw someone, or I saw the girl or whatever, and he's like, you know, she looked a lot like you. She had the same hair and like the same eyes and stuff like that. So there was definitely like those levels of implication that you could probably, if you could pick up on that they were brother and sister if you're paying attention. If not,
or if somebody happened to tell you,
that definitely helps too. But I feel like even if you didn't, like you might be able to be like, oh, I think there's something weird going on here. So I think, you know, at the same time I was able to pick up on more of that stuff. Don't understand what the wolves was all about, because even in the movie, I don't know how the book was, but in the movie there's just wolves, always kind of just like around.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's never really explained. Never really said anything about it.
And I feel like the wolves is what they like originally blamed.
It was
the murder on,
but then they just kept on being around.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it sounds like
either.
I don't remember the wolves being around, and it's been so long since I read that book because like
really just shrugged his shoulders.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean I know I told you I have not seen the movie, but it was another one of those movies that like I like the director of that movie.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, I like Jeffrey Wright and Alexander Skarsgård. Like, I'll check this out. But I saw it was based on a book, so I was like, oh, I'll read the book first. And yeah, killed it for me. After I read the book, I was like, I don't know if I care to watch this movie because yeah, like the ending when it was like the whole incest thing and like just all of it. I was just like, this is kind of gross and stupid. Like I don't really like this.
I feel like I will say like one thing like about the movie. Like I'd probably say the best scene was like the detective and the tracker and a bunch of cops were going to talk to like Alex Skarsgård's friend or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, fuck you guys. I'm not going quietly." And he gets up into his little loft of his barn and just has a machine gun and is just like just killing the fuck out of some cops. Like it was pretty it's pretty brutal. That was probably the most exciting part of the movie. But even then, I felt like I've seen things similar that were done better.
Yeah,
so I was like, yeah.
I will say though, funny enough, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually do. I think about that book quite often, and it's because of one thing in the book, and it's near the beginning of the book when the main dude first sets out. They talk about how you should move in the snow. I don't know if they do this in the movie or not, but they talk about like you don't want to move too fast because then like you want to move slowly in the snow and the cold because if you start moving too fast, you will sweat and you will die of hypothermia. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I knew that, but they never talked about
well, I mean, I guess I didn't really grasp that until I read that book, and that was something that just kind of stuck with me. And like anytime I ever go out in the cold, I always think of that book.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the first time I ever heard about that, I was watching Man vs. Wild.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where he was in like a tundra setting, and he's like, and he brought it up. He's like, you can't, do too much because if you start sweating, then like you can get hypothermia for it. So like he would take like. It took him like all day to like build a shelter because like he'd have to like just do it in like these short increments just to be able to regulate his body temperature and stuff like that. So, but yeah, definitely not something that I think a lot of people would think about.
I definitely didn't until I read that.
Yeah. So.
Is that it?
I have. Well, that's all I have on Hold the Dark. I do have one more movie, and then the movie we saw today.
Okay, cool. So then I will. So this weekend, part of the reason I did not get around to many movies was the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and so they've been kind of doing a little celebration all weekend. On Friday night, that started with like a concert, and we watched that live. And I have to say, even just watching it at home on TV, probably one of the best concerts I have ever bore witness to. I just enjoyed the fuck out of it. I mean, it was a blast, but especially like you got this whole audience that's literally just pretty much celebrities. I mean, it's just all, people from SNL's past, people who are connected to SNL somehow.
Right.
And it's just so much fun watching them have fun. Like I kept telling Belle, I was like, because a lot of those same people were at the 50th special last night. And I was like, in like 2 weeks when a lot of these same people are at the Oscars, they're going to be like, fuck this. This is 2 weeks ago was so much fun, and this is so fucking boring, to sit through. because they were having the fucking time of their lives. But yeah, everybody just put on such great performances, and they honored a lot of lost musicians and stuff. Nirvana played, but they had Post Malone be the lead singer, and he killed it and did a great job.
Nice.
Probably the highlight of the concert for me, one was the Lonely Island melody or medley that they did. Fantastic. And I forget just how into Lonely Island I was back in the day. Like, we really fucked with it. And so like when they were doing the medley, and I'm just like, every word just was coming back to me. I was like, I know all of this shit.
These memories are flowing.
Oh yeah. And then but no, the biggest highlight was Arcade Fire performed Wake Up, and I was shocked that there was more concert after that. I mean, it was just such like an explosive performance that I'm just like, that should have been your finale. I mean, it was just, and then in between they would do like, the comedians and the SNL people would come and like segue the artists for the most part. Backstreet Boys performed, nice. Cher performed. But there's like a sketch, I can't remember what it's called, but like Will Ferrell and the other ladies, Anna Gasteyer, they do this bit where they're like, I think like choir teachers or something.
Nice.
And like they would always sing songs that were like kind of inappropriate songs or whatever, or just like, but they would sing it in the style of like these choir people, and they're just like very kind of lame in some ways. And it was so funny watching them do their songs, because at one point they sing honestly, one of my favorite like comedic moments was Will Ferrell breaking himself. He made a joke, and I watched him break character in that moment. He just couldn't help himself, because he brought up the Drake and Kendrick beef, and he's like, is Kendrick Lamar and Drake Graham in the audience tonight? He's like, maybe they could just hug it out. And as soon as he said it, he just fucking broke. You could tell he's trying not to laugh. But then when they actually like started doing the songs, they do sing Not Like Us at some point. It's just funny because she's like,
yeah, I saw a little clip on Facebook about it.
Yeah, it is hysterical, and that's the third weekend in a row that that song has been played on live national television. Drake can't watch shit. I saw a little comment in the section on YouTube when they posted that video. It was like, Drake, fuck the Super Bowl. I ain't gonna watch it. I'll watch SNL. And then it said SNL. He's just like, God damn, he can't catch a fucking break, dude. But yeah, then last night was the 50th anniversary special. Did not reach the highs of that concert. Not even remotely. It was fine. I definitely felt like it went on way too long. It was like 3 hours long.
Sheesh.
And like, it was basically just a 3 hour long episode of Saturday Night Live. I mean, yes, they were like celebrating their 50 years, and everybody in the audience was, again, SNL cast members, people who were somehow connected to SNL, etc., etc. But I just feel like for the most part, like every skit they did was just, they were playing the hits just with like a mix of people, like, from like old cast members and new cast members, and like, it's like, okay, yeah, that's neat, but like
for 3 hours,
like 3 hours of just like of a ton of skits that we have seen, like, inexhaustibly, and it's just like, okay, all right, this is starting to lose its steam a little bit. I did enjoy their in memoriam section, because Tom Hanks came out, he's introducing it and stuff, and you're thinking, oh, here we go, in memoriam, this is going to be sad, it's going to be all the cast members and whatnot that have passed away. It's not what they did. And their in memoriam section was all of the bits that have been canceled, basically, like all the things that would not fly today, and it was hilarious. I mean, it was just going through, it's like, and the things, instead of the names, it would come up like racial stereotypes, and it's like sexual harassment. Sometimes they just say, whoa. Yikes. And then there's one where it's like, this is okay, maybe, we're not sure. Because like Hitler saying that he was gay and stuff. We're like, and I got a kick out of that. And
that's funny.
But Tom Hanks even said, he's like, but just remember, you, the audience, laughed at all of this, so maybe you're the ones that should be canceled. But I got a kick out of that. And then just to cap off the SNL 50th thing, they released a little documentary. I watched 3 of the 4 episodes of it, called I think it was just SNL 50 Beyond Saturday Night. And the first episode was like all about like everybody's auditions and stuff, and like just starting out at Saturday Night Live and shit like that. It was interesting. The second episode was all about the More Cowbell skit, which I did get a kick out of that one. I enjoyed that. Especially once they actually started playing the skit near the end, because it was Will Ferrell's idea, I guess, the whole skit. And just watching how that skit came to be and everything, it's hilarious. It's a funny-ass skit. That's still to this day. I mean, there's a reason it's like the most popular Saturday Night Live skit ever. And then the third episode was about the writers, and it like spent like the week following the writers like up to like a new episode,
right?
Kind of like the South Park documentary.
Yeah, 6 days to air.
Yeah. And then I didn't watch the 4th episode, but it was about, it's like season 11, the weird season or whatever. I guess shit was kind of, I don't know, the fate of SNL kind of hung in the balance of season 11, and it was just kind of a strange time for the show, but I haven't seen that one yet. Another thing I did get a kick out of, one of the skits they rehashed at the special last night. Sometimes they do Black Jeopardy, and one of the, I don't know if it was the first time they did it, but like Tom Hanks was hosting, and he played like this MAGA guy, and he was like the only white contestant, and the whole joke was like how much they all agreed on. as it went on, at first they were like, whoa, but then like they talk about things like, yeah, I agree, and like and so they kind of did that with this, where like they had the 3 contestants. It was like Leslie Jones was one, Tracy Morgan played a character named Darius, and then next to him was Eddie Murphy playing Tracy Morgan.
That's funny.
And that alone was hilarious. But then Eddie Murphy got swapped out for Tom Hanks as his little MAGA character, and Kenan Thompson is the host, and he's just like, you're welcome back anytime. Because there's like because there's a category called Live from New York. And so one of the characters was like, I'll take Live from New York for 100. And he's like, this popular sketch comedy show has been on the air for 50 years. And it's like, and nobody could guess it. And I knew the joke that was coming. He's like, what is In Living Color? And they're just like, no, it's like this played every Saturday night, right? Musical guest, this. He's like, what is Soul Train? And it's like, no. And it's just like, and what I thought was so funny about that is I'll never forget when I lived in Tennessee, my buddy LJ was over, and he's a black man, and he had a few buddies over too, also black. My white roommate was upstairs with us one day, and we started watching like SNL clips on YouTube. My white roommate and I were yucking it up. We thought it's hilarious, but all of my black buddies in the room just did not find it funny whatsoever. And so I found it hilarious that they just really leaned into that bit of like black people just think SNL's the whitest show on earth, because it's so fucking true. And so yeah, Tom Hanks's character shows up because like they do another Live from New York bit, and it's like, this famous character played by Dana Carvey, blah, 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 is named what? And he's like, what is the church lady? He's like, that's correct. And he's like, more people need to go to church. We'd all be better off for it. And he's like, sir, I want to shake your hand. And Kenan Thompson goes up to him to like shake his hand, and he backs away real quick. He's like, oh no, I'm just shaking your hand. He's like, oh, okay. It's just so ridiculous, dude. Oh, man. But yeah, that one got a laugh out of me. There were some good ones. Oh yeah. Mostly I felt like, I don't know. I just laughed because like I knew what they were setting up sometimes.
Right.
Like I knew what bit they were getting ready to do, but it, like I said, after 3 hours, I definitely lost its appeal.
Its luster a little bit. Yeah, I will say, never been big on Saturday Night Live. I'm definitely not to say I haven't like watched my clips and find it funny, but I also never been like one like, oh, Saturday night, it's time to catch this week's episode. So
yeah, I don't know. SNL and I, we go back. You know, we really do. It's one of those things that like I don't think about a lot. I don't go around like I'm the biggest SNL fan ever. Like, but like it's one of those things that once I started thinking about it, I'm like, damn, I am a big SNL fan. You know, because like I remember the very first time I ever saw it. You know, and like some people have that story of like the first time where they were, what they were doing, of like when they saw Saturday Night Live. I was in a hospital waiting room when I was a kid. I remember seeing some skit with Jimmy Fallon and Horatio Sands, and you know we were there in the middle of the night, and I'm just like, "What is this?" You know, like I'd never seen it before. I didn't stay up late. I was a kid, and then you know a few years down the line, probably when I was like, I don't know, just at the end of grade school, going into junior high, you know, we had a Blockbuster down the road, and my parents would get me like the best of DVDs.
Right.
So I watched the best of Will Ferrell, the best of Adam Sandler, the best of Dana Carvey, and of course the best of Chris Farley. Like that was like my biggest exposure to it at the time. And then it became like a thing that my cousin and I bonded over, you know, Jim. It was like, especially when I lived with him, like we would always watch it every Saturday night, like, and he'd record it and we'd watch them, and like, you know, it's just always been there. It's always been a thing. And I love sketch comedy too. Yeah. And I know that, you know, even watching SNL this weekend, I'm like, damn it, I love sketch comedy. You know, like I can't wait to do more of it. I'm glad
this is good.
You know, I'm glad we're getting ready to do like another sketch comedy thing here in the next month. So this was a nice little springboard, I feel like, to go into that. I feel like my excitement levels for this project are a lot higher than they were.
Sketch juices are flowing.
They really are. Yeah.
Good.
What a good sketch.
I would say so do I. We've come up with a few over the years.
Would not want to deal with the pressure though of SNL. No. Like watching this, I was like, every single person is like, it's the greatest thing ever. My mental health has never been worse. Like it is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, especially like with it being like such a, like you gotta churn it out at such like a high rate, like, and then like,
dude, they write it like literally up to like showtime. Like I mean, it's literally like they're cutting bits. Like they don't actually know like the full lineup of shit until like an hour before like 11:30 at night on Saturday.
Jesus.
I was like, God, fuck all that.
That is crazy though.
I know. They got to build sets and costumes and all sorts. I mean, just
then even to choreograph with your guests and stuff like that, because a lot of musical guests would at least be in like a skit or two as well. Like
sometimes, yeah.
So
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
What you got?
The Holdovers.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It was good.
Good.
That was the Holdovers.
I haven't seen it.
It was decent. It was a nice little story. I feel like it's a good Christmas time movie. If you want to watch it around Christmas time.
I think
it's supposed to be like a Christmas time movie.
Yeah. I think Paul Giamatti won for that last year.
He might have.
I think he won Best Actor. No, I take that back. I think that movie won Best Supporting Actress. For
makes sense. She did a good job.
I heard.
Yeah, apparently people agreed.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, no, it was a cool little story.
Oh yeah,
nice little bonding movie. People who don't like each other end up finding common ground and having learning to make the most out of somewhat of a shitty situation. So
I feel like that almost goes hand in hand with the next movie we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
You could almost use that same description. People who don't really like each other, who have to come together.
I can see that. At first, I was like, I don't think so, but after hearing it again, I was like, oh yeah, no, I can see this. Which was Captain America.
Okay, I didn't know if you were ready to move on.
That was the Holdovers, and we'll talk about it next Christmas. But yeah, no, we went and saw Captain America: Brave New World in IMAX because it was shot for it.
As most things are these days.
As most things are. I even made the comment, I think, and I was like, there's a lot of movies shot for IMAX nowadays.
Sure.
It's kind of just the standard, I think, for most movies.
As it should be. The IMAX rocks.
I think what we should do is replace all theaters with IMAX and then just lower the IMAX tickets.
Boom.
And then,
we just solved the whole problem.
Yeah. Right? Everyone would go to the theaters more, and they're all IMAX and all more affordable. So, I mean, how could they not make money off of that?
You're welcome, Hollywood. Yeah. We just saved your asses.
You're always trying to wonder how to get more people into the movies. Well, there you fucking go.
There you fucking go.
I enjoyed it.
I'd watch fucking paint drying on IMAX.
Shit. I would.
I'd be part of it.
I would be a part of the movie.
I feel like I'm drying. Yes, Captain America: Brave New World, fourth Captain America movie, first Captain America movie that's not Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie taking the helm this time around.
Yeah, in case you never watched Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
you got to see that transition.
I will say, obviously, spoilers because that's what we do.
Yeah, the movie did just come out.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to reiterate that because we do talk about shit that's been out for a minute, but this literally just came out over the weekend. So, I mean, like I told you, it was rated like the third lowest MCU movie, and I just like I don't know about that.
Well, it did just come out, so I mean, I guess you're looking at it purely as like a Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. It's just the Rotten Tomatoes score, but like, I would disagree. I mean, I think it was more, but I mean, the fuck do we know? We like Madam Web, so. Yeah.
I can't wait for people to say Captain America, a bland new world, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Because it was all right.
Yeah. My thing was, I could appreciate that they were trying to go back to like a Winter Soldier vibe.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was Kmart Winter Soldier. Like it never quite, like it was almost a little too polished, whereas Winter Soldier had that like gritty 70s political thriller vibe to it.
Yeah, a little more rugged.
Yeah, and this one definitely felt like a modern day movie that was just kind of polished and just a little too much so.
I could see that.
I probably could have gone for it being like a little deeper, I feel like. Very middle of the road Marvel movie.
Yeah, I mean, because I think kind of like what we talked about. Like, it was cool that they, ooh, shit.
I'm gonna have to tuck this motherfucker in after this.
I almost choked. I went to do a fake snore, I almost died. No, like,
and that was Phil and Chase.
And rest in peace, Philly. But no, like, I feel like I thought I did like a cool job trying to like bridge together like certain storylines,
just tying up loose ends and whatnot.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I thought was silly, and I almost said it earlier. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna say this one for the podcast, and it was like in the beginning or whatever, and they're talking about the Incredible Hulk and the Abomination, stuff like that, and Ross and his daughter, and I thought it was so like it's like a news broadcast, and then like at one point they're like, and Betty Ross, who dated Bruce Banner. I'm like, God, they're really putting out a lot of personal information on the fucking news.
I feel like that because even as it was happening. Because I wondered, I knew this was going to pick up a lot of threads from the Incredible Hulk. Well, for those keeping count, that was in 2008, and it's like, how many fucking people remember what the fuck happened in the Incredible Hulk? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like this was their way of like trying to remind people without being like previously on Marvel, like, you know, it's just
Right.
it's just like, by the way, you know,
all this stuff happened, and so
I know this was almost 20 years ago, but this is what happened.
which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
They even brought back Abomination before this.
And I do feel, I heard somebody be like, I'm sick of Marvel doing all these Hulk characters dirty. And it's like, you finally bring him back, and then it's like, for what? Like, you know, because they did kind of make Abomination a bit of a joke, you know, when they brought him back. And then, like, the thing, like, again, it's like, I don't know, this movie, like, in hindsight, feels very surface level on a lot of stuff. Like, it really does feel like it served the purpose to just tie shit up so that they can move on. Because, like, I don't know, yeah, like, the leader was cool, I guess, but, like, at the end of the day, like, he didn't feel like too big of a threat. I feel like he could have. But I just felt like it never got past, like, a surface level.
He just had a personal agenda.
Yeah, and, like...
He wasn't trying to... It wasn't like, who was the dude from...
Zemo?
Zemo, you know, he like, his goal was to break up the Avengers. He just wanted to make Ross look like a fool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, it wasn't like he just wanted, he was just mad.
Yeah, and I was even thinking that,
trying to be petty about it.
As we were watching it, I'm like, I feel like we've seen the master manipulator thing done better.
Yeah.
In many different things, including many different Marvel properties. Or it's just like, you know, like, even when I was like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, like, I could feel where he was a solid villain, but I just feel like he never met that potential.
Yeah.
Because of, like, kind of what you're saying. Like, it was just like such a personal vendetta that I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, but Ross is a dick, right? So
yeah. It's like the stakes didn't feel that high necessarily.
Yeah, and then
especially when it's over, it's like you realize this whole thing was just to build up to, like, him making him into the Red Hulk, and then he becomes the Red Hulk, and then they solve that problem, and the movie's over. And thinking back on it now, you know, something that kept coming up was the leader being like, you keep being this, like, anomaly in my probabilities. And I just, like, was like, why? I was like, why? Because, I mean, it almost goes back to Joaquin's line where he's like, maybe you're not as smart as you think.
right, yeah.
You know, it's like...
Because, I mean, it's kind of true where it's like... I don't know, because, I mean, even a deeper spoiler, like, even at, like, the end credit scene, where it's like, oh, and, like, they're trying to make it seem like he's seen all these probabilities because of how smart how big his brain is, essentially, which is protruding from, like, his head.
Yeah.
Just to give the
Which was definitely downplayed from what he looks like in the comics, because that motherfucker's got a big old head in the comics.
And so it was just like, he'd be top heavy. You wouldn't be able to move him. He said it was that big.
He's all forehead in the comics.
he's just a big forehead. He lost his body and it's just a head.
Isn't that just MODOK or whatever the fuck his name is? I think it is MODOK.
Yeah. But no, he's like, oh, well, what you don't know is, like, you know, like, setting up the stuff for Secret Wars is, like, of all the probabilities that I've seen and stuff like that. It's like, and you never once thought Captain America was going to be Captain America and save the day? Like,
right.
Like, oh, you didn't need super serum and you actually saved the day. Like, I would have never fucking thought.
Yeah. It low-key felt like a really stupid post-credit scene, solely for the fact that we all know this already. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like new information. It's not like, what? There's going to be a multiverse? It's like, homie, we've been doing the multiverse. Like we are so well past the fucking reveal of this. Like,
because I even said out loud in the theater, it's like, oh, what? Secret Wars?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like if this had been before, like, No Way Home, and, like, I don't know. I feel like on a broader scale of kind of what I mentioned earlier about, like, not keeping the surprises for this movie. Like, I feel like this movie would have been so much more enjoyable for everybody if they had played it closer to the chest. But I get it. they've had a bad run and they were just trying to get motherfuckers into the theater to see a Captain America with a new Captain America that people probably didn't know about, you know?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you might not have watched these Disney Plus shows, so you might not have any fucking idea who these people are.
Yeah, which kind of fucks up the whole Marvel universe.
Yes.
Like, if you were having all these shows and then, like, having to go back and, like, mansplain everything.
Yes, yeah.
After the fact.
And it's just like, so yes, obviously you're going to be like, oh, Red Hulk's in it. Oh, the leader's the bad guy. Oh, we're bringing Tim Blake Nelson back. We're bringing Liv Tyler back. Like, they
can bring back Liv Tyler.
Yeah, which honest to God, that might be the number one thing in this whole movie that I was like, that just did not need to happen. If you were going to do it, do it.
Yeah.
But if this was what you're going to do, just don't even involve her. You know what I mean?
She came out of retirement for this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like ridiculous, dude.
I couldn't tell you the last thing Liv Tyler was.
Me neither. And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck?
Rain Over Me?
I don't know. I loved her in that movie.
Yeah, she did a great job with that.
But I mean, that's around the same, because she was in The Strangers, I feel like, the year after that movie. That was like 2008.
Like around that time. Time period.
Yeah, what a waste. Like, why? Because the whole movie, I was like, so when's Betty coming into this? Like, I know she's going to be in it, so, like, where is she?
You
and then,
made
like,
a point to bring her up in the first 5 minutes.
When he gets the phone call, I'm like, dude, is this it? Is this Liv Tyler coming back as just her voice over the phone? And then they bring her back, like, literally in the, like, last minute of the movie. I'm like, Like, I just feel like they better fucking bring her back at some point. Like, I need her back, like, seeing Bruce again or something. Like, because that was just stupid. Like, why even involve her?
Now that Scarlett Johansson's gone, he's gonna have to find a new
exactly. Yeah.
Old flings coming back.
But, like, you know, like I said, like, the movie itself would have done better if, like, the surprises were still there. Like, if we went into this movie and we didn't know these things, then we'd be like, oh shit, like, this is, I didn't expect him to become the Red Hulk, you know? Like, but, like, they advertised the shit out of it. Like, you know, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. These things would have been cool to find out along the way.
Yeah, and not to say that, the ending, like, with the Red Hulk, it was cool.
Yeah. It was definitely probably the best action scene in the whole movie was the Red Hulk fight, which it better be, if that's...
I fucking hope so at that point. But at the same time, too, like, I still felt like it was somewhat anticlimactic, you know?
For sure.
Where it's like, yeah, cool, you see him, like, flying through the air, like, with him jumping and stuff like that. Like, you know, he's angry and he's catching things on fire because he's touching them. But, like, I felt like if you were going to do the Red Hulk, you should have, for one, like, made that, like, the main antagonist or, like, the problem sooner. Like, don't wait until, like, the last 15 minutes, because then I just feel like now you just pretty much just wasted using the Red Hulk for, like, essentially, like, clickbait. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to get people to, like, oh, I really want to see Red Hulk, and then all these people are going to go see this movie because they think, you know, like, Harrison Ford is going to be, like, this Red Hulk, and he is, and then, but he's not.
Yeah. Just like Liv Tyler's in it.
Yeah, you know, so... Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it was. Yeah. Like, it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right. I didn't hate it by any means.
I didn't leave the theater like, man, sorry you paid for that ticket, bud. But, you know, it was just okay.
Yeah, it was just okay. But what I was going to say is, like, on a bigger scale, I feel like where Marvel really stumbled over themselves after Endgame was when they just, like, announced their whole lineup of shit coming out. Like, at the time, it was very exciting. You know, they're like, hey, we're doing Disney Plus shows, we're doing this, and here's what's coming out. We're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this. And it's like, okay, that's super cool. But, you know, it's like, what part of what made the Infinity Saga work so well is, like, we were all figuring it out as we went along. Like, we never knew what was coming next. And then, like, that was part of the fun. It was like, they would drop these little Easter eggs and hints as to the future of where this might go. And it's like, oh shit, like, that's cool. Like, oh, he said Stephen Strange, maybe Doctor Strange is coming. I'm like, you know, just shit like that, you know, as they kind of build up to things. Whereas like with this, they like said pretty early on, they're like, oh, we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming out. Oh, multiverse. Okay, so like multiple projects in advance, like we're getting through this other shit knowing that the multiverse is coming.
Right.
Like, and then Multiverse of Madness comes out and it was not what people wanted it to be, and it's just like...
Yeah, I feel like that's also a fault to fans.
For sure. Because,
I mean, the one thing that I feel like I'd say as a con for Marvel is like, I think it's just like it's getting to the point where things are almost becoming just like it's just an overload of content, and then the content that they're giving out isn't meeting the mark of what people want. But then
it's more quantity than quality.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, I think because of Endgame and like you can even look at No Way Home, where you do have like all these people coming together or like favorites from the past, like now I feel like audience
there's an expectation.
They're just like, oh well, we want everything to be at an Endgame level, and it's not realistic, and it costs way too much money to do that every single movie, and for two, like that would get old after a while if you were just like completely immersed in like this movie where there's like 50 fucking different characters all kind of trying to work together, like, and that's what I'm assuming what they're working towards with Secret Wars is they're gonna give the fans eventually what they want, but you need to give them time to build up to that. Like if you want a chili, you have to let it cook and then and preferably let it sit overnight, and then the next day when you have that chili, it's going to be fucking fantastic, but you can't just throw all the ingredients together and just eat it because it's going to taste like shit.
Right.
So...
case in point, Secret Wars. Like, we've known Secret Wars is coming for a while. Like, and it's still years out. And so, like, even, like, at the end of this, these different universes, bro, we know. Fuck? Like, we know what this is building to. Like, and it's like, if we didn't know that, if they didn't announce that, maybe we all would be a little more into things right now,
Yeah. Even an audience member was like, I sat through the end of the credits for this. This was like the worst end credits ever.
Low key, I kind of felt that way. Like, I mean, I don't
disagree with them.
The ones where they're like, just like stupid little tags or stuff, that's on us for sitting there, and it's like, it is what it is. Like, that amount to nothing. They're just silly or fun or whatever. But this... Yeah, I think this might have my vote for like worst post-credit scene ever, because I was like, well, that was just silly. Yeah, we know, we know, dude. Like,
it didn't build to anything, and it didn't get us excited for anything we don't already know about.
Right, we're already excited about it.
It wasn't fun or funny, so
it's just like I don't know. Yeah.
That was.
I think after Secret Wars, they should stop announcing their shit so far in advance.
I think they should just maybe even take a little break.
I think they should. I think especially.
I think it's kind of random. I not to say that you can't ever do like a superhero movie again, but I feel like at this point, like the fans are just kind of sick of it a little bit at this point. Like, I know that
it is oversaturated.
A lot of people will have the problem with like Marvel ruined cinema and stuff like that. Whatever. I won't agree with that. Yeah. But I do think that like even like the people who are fans that people like us who have watched everything.
I'd say we've stuck with it for sure. I've even watched some of my buddies fall out with it, and I have stayed strong. I am still here with I have not faltered. It's like even their low points, I'm like, it is what it is. Like, because like the thing is,
expected when you have like 30 some fucking movies plus TV shows, they're not all gonna be fucking.
Well, like the Infinity Saga was like one of the biggest hot streaks of a franchise ever. Like, I mean, you pretty much went damn near, all 23, 24 movies, like, just knocking it out of the park.
It was the lightning in the bottle type of. It was
and it built up to something so big that it's like, how the fuck do you even top that? You
Yeah.
know, and it's like you're gonna have to go back a little bit on that. And now it's just like the coherency, the consistency of the storytelling is not what it used to be, and not, you know, to a little bit to their credit, like they've been hit with a lot of bullshit too. They've had the strikes, they've had COVID, you know, that's like they had a plan. They had the whole Jonathan Majors situation.
Yeah.
Like they have a plan, but then shit just happens. And it's like, maybe that's kind of what they get for getting too ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I think they should slow it down, especially if they're getting ready. Like once Secret Wars happens, we have the X-Men to look forward to. We have like literally everybody is back at home. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, like everybody is back at Marvel. Dude, this could be the next great phase of Marvel movies, you know? And it's just like they could do it right. And what's even more upsetting is like their animated shows are all of a sudden like the best fucking things they're making. What If aside, like, you know, X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is like, bro, if they can even remotely get like that close to storytelling like in live action with Spider-Man and X-Men, they got a great thing on their hands.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man.
I just think they just need to just kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. I think they need to, I think Secret Wars would be nice because I do think that they are going to, you know, wipe that slate clean. They're like, okay, we have all this shit. Let's just, you know, end this off, and then now we have all the, like you said, all the players are home.
Mm-hmm.
So like moving forward, just take your time and like rebuild like a genuinely good fucking story arc for these characters, because I feel like a lot of, even like in this like the multiverse phase that we're in, it's, I don't know, I feel like because we know all the characters and stuff like that, like there's only so much depth to them. I feel like a lot of the movies are kind of at like a surface level. It's like, oh, and here's Ant-Man,
right?
You know, and stuff like that. Or even like with this Captain America movie, where it's like, and here's Captain America. Like you like, you didn't really. I didn't really feel like a super strong connection with.
I don't feel like it added anything either.
No, like it was just
to the overall story or anything.
Yeah, like it didn't make me feel like, okay, now he's really stepped up to the mantle and he's Captain America.
I mean, I felt that more so in the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier than I did in this whole movie.
You know, and so like I just felt like
I like Sam as Captain America.
Oh yeah, I have no problems with Sam as a.
He deserved a better movie
as a character. Yeah, I just don't think they did it justice, and like, we're trying to make him the new Captain America. Like, you really need to hit that mark. It's like, hey, you know, this is Captain America is our beloved fucking superhero. Like, and you need to be able to transition that into like the new mantle instead of just kind of making it just like, okay, like, you know, like I even said, like, some of the jokes just weren't really landing for me like I thought they should. Like, it just, I just don't think they just did a good job with them.
Yeah. It was fine. All that being said, I will say, of all the Marvel movies coming out this year, Thunderbolts is probably my most anticipated.
Yeah. And I'm trying to keep that expectation as low as fucking possible.
Right. Like, it just, because I really love those characters, and it looks like it'll be fucking good. And like, it's the first time in a while that I've been that excited for like a Marvel movie. Like, you know, I'm always gonna go see him, but Thunderbolts has me excited.
I feel like the way I felt about Thunderbolts is how I felt about the Marvels.
Which was?
Excited.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was actually...
I really fucked with Miss Marvel and well, specifically Miss Marvel.
I mean, granted,
she just
that was another one I actually really enjoyed.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the fuck out of it.
I don't understand.
I thought it was a blast.
I don't understand why it got nearly as much hate as it did.
Because of women. It was female led, so they shit all over it. Which is just stupid. Yeah, for
There's
real.
nothing wrong with it. They all did
I love
a
girl
good
power.
job. You know what? And they deserve that power.
I love it.
You know, some of the strongest Marvel superheroes are fucking women. So
That's
like, so why are we gonna hate on the fact that there's women in the fucking Marvel universe.
That's stupid. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Thunderbolts. I want to be more excited for Fantastic Four. I want to be. It's just because they're taking such a different spin on it that I'm like, I'm willing to go on this ride with you, but it's just like, I guess, it's expectation, you know? So I'm just trying to kill the expectation and just go into it like, okay, this is what I'm getting. Maybe it'll be fucking phenomenal. Maybe I'll be like, wow, that was the best Fantastic Four movie I've ever seen, you know? But we'll see. It's hard, man. As a Fantastic Four fan, they've done us wrong so many times with the movies that it's like, why can you guys not fucking figure this out?
Yeah.
At this point, just give us a Disney Plus show. Like, let them breathe if you can't do a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's it.
That was our longest episode ever.
Shit, not even.
Not
You're just
even.
sleepy. You're just sleepy.
Oh damn. Was it really not that long?
A little over 2 hours.
Oh.
It's pretty huge.
Then yeah, right on the money.
Right on schedule. Choo-choo.
I guess I am just tired.
You look fucking tired.
I gotta take a test. I gotta do homework. I
gotta drive home.
I don't know. I probably won't go to bed till like at least 12, 1 o'clock.
Damn. Yeah, so I guess next week, I will say one last little thing, because we took a little break from the David Lynch this week, but in regards to what we were talking about earlier about, art, extending the lives of people, making them immortal. David Lynch passed away, and we've been spending, weeks talking about this guy.
Yeah.
Through his art.
Yeah, I definitely do plan on getting back on the Lynch train.
As do I. I was taking a little break.
Yeah, well, you watched more than I have. I've only seen 2 so far.
That is true. It's like dicking around.
It's a lot of dicking around. Well, I also lost my Max membership.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do
it. That's been a whole adjustment for me.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll definitely get more into it.
We got Monkey Man and the Green Knight to look forward to next week.
Yes.
I don't know if this might be the week I go on my comedy bender. I don't know.
You did bring it up. How long is Green Knight? Do you know off the top of your head?
It was, I think, just a little over 2 hours, like 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Might be a tomorrow movie.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about trying to watch something tonight, but
yeah, part of my comedy bender is because I know comedies are short.
Yeah,
and I'm looking to just kind of like get ahead a little bit so I can take some time off of watching movies for a little bit.
Yeah, it might be a light week for Philly next week. I am pretty ahead on my movies, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Later.